Our Stories, a podcast of the stories in and around the magical land of El Lugar.
So hello everyone and welcome to another beautiful podcast about stories with, around and about El Lugar. Today we are going to talk about the story around El Lugar with two beautiful, amazing guests, Diva Diaz and Francesca Fiorentini, who joined the El Lugar project almost 2 or 3 years ago when we first offered investment in the El Lugar project. The way we allowed investments in is a combination of a share certificate and timeshare. So the people who believed in the project, who wanted to be part of it, they could buy a share of the company, and by doing so, they got a timeshare element as well. So every year they can spend a few weeks for free at El Lugar. In addition, they get part of the profit of the business. We call this preferred shares in the company with a timeshare element. And at the beginning, we didn't have a building permit. We didn't have our Satana approval. We had an idea of what we wanted to create. And Francesca and Diva were one of the brave ones who just said, okay, I'm in. And they also said, well, we don't have the money on the bank account right away to pay it in, the whole amount. So we came up with the idea of paying it over time and to see what that creates, to see what an inspiration El Lugar can be to someone else's life who starts or who chooses to contribute to it and allows El Lugar to contribute to them. So today, these two amazing ladies are here on our podcast. Welcome again, Diva.
Thank you. Hello.
And hello, Francesca, who is currently in Australia, very far away. Hello, Francesca.
Hello, David. Hello, Diva. Thank you for having us here.
So can you share with our listeners what was going on? What was driving you? What was going on when you heard, okay, investment is possible, the big amount of money, not sure if and how we'll ever create it, and then you did it anyway, other than being crazy.
I will say here, Diva should start because she's been the inspiration and the push of make me choose that.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's funny because when, I think it was probably maybe 6 months at least of hearing about the investment possibilities with El Lugar. And I never even considered, I didn't even think, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the money. I didn't even get to that point. It was before that. It was just like a complete non-existent thing. And then we were in this event in Malaysia and you were doing a talk, David, on El Lugar, and it was like, wow. And just seeing like the different properties available. And then a good friend of ours said that he was investing. And I looked at him and I was like, what? I was like, if he's doing it, then I can do it. And, that's where like the friendly competition set in. And I was like, but if I do it, I don't want to get like the cheapest thing just because I've decided I don't have money. Like, what is the nicest property that would just be so fun to walk into, that even when I thought about it from the other side of the world, it would just kind of, light up my world and just be a really fun thing to have in my life. And that's when it was like, oh, what about, kind of like one of the bigger houses? But obviously that was way beyond any money that I had at all at the time, like at all. And so I just thought, who can I rope into this? and then that's how it started.
Actually, I need to do a little edit here. Was not in Malaysia. You were in Houston doing a Right Reaches facilitator training. Was this, as well. And that's why I wasn't there. So you start Skyping me. Yeah.
Oh,
you start
wow.
Skyping me about it, and oh, what do you get? This is a possibility. That's what investment. And as you previously say, that 6 or 12 months that we have been hearing about Lugar, and myself even more, like we have been already in a Lugar several times. But for me, it was an energy as well that was like, someone will have to buy me a house. I cannot achieve it. I'm like, that was not even it was a desire that I had. But then I remember Simon Milazas saying, oh, you might have a very rich man one day buying you a casa. I'm like, okay, well, where do I find this rich man around the world? Mm-hmm. And then that day when you start Skyping me about investment and you send me all the downloadable investment program, I actually leave it there. And then you gave me an out. Like, okay, if you don't choose it, I need to ask someone else. And at that point, I really look at the energy. I'm like, okay, Diva, thank you for the pushing. So I start downloading all the programs. And I remember my mom that was sitting close to me, and I start reading and translating for her, looking at the different possibility of the investments. And she looked at me. I'm like, well, if you want to invest, why not? And I look and I'm like, oh, you are not offering me to pay for it. But that has been a life-changing for me personally, because I realized how much I was referring to someone else creating my future instead of my me. And then I look at whatever was required at the moment financially, and I did it. And from there, no rich man show up that had to pay for it.
Yeah.
That was the emptiness of like basically the choice of creating something for me with my friend, of course, in such a beautiful place as a Lugar. I remember the first time I went there, and I love riding horses, and I learned to ride horses in Costa Rica. I still have a picture of it with the ears of the horse and looking at the entrance of El Lugar. There is this red earth, the space, the color of the trees, the color of the grass. And I mean, I still have it in my phone as to remind me of a land that it's so magical, and it's so real too, because it's not a fairy tale. We are building something so different in this reality and in this moment of time. So start becoming poetic about it.
And I remember when you said, okay, we are doing this and we're going to pay it off over time. And I was like, wow. And I am now curious, because so many people had the point of view, it's a beyond. It's just not possible, because people think if I want to invest $200,000-$300,000 in something, I have to have the money on the bank. Otherwise, I'm not entitled to. I cannot. And I was like, wow, I am actually curious how changing that point of view, going into not possible, into, well, just get started, will actually change the rest of their lives and all the other areas of their life. And I was honestly so proud to see both of you rising and choosing more and growing and paying it off way faster than even you had ever imagined.
Yeah.
So what else changed? What else changed in your life after that crazy choice?
I think like a lot of the stuff that we choose is based on where we are right now and what we can choose right now. And thank you, Francesca, for mentioning that it was Houston, because I'm starting to remember that. And I remember being in that class, and it was, a Right Riches class, and it was obviously looking at your reality with money. But the thing that really did it for me, I remember just sitting there and thinking, am I going to continue to choose my reality based on what is true right now, or am I going to start choosing for what I would like to have? And for me, it was like, this is the future that I would like, where money is ease, where I can invest in different things, and even where I can invite people, because, you know, I invited Francesca and another friend of ours, but also the willingness for them to say no, and then see if I could do it with someone else or whatever. But all of that to me was, it hadn't been where I had been functioning from, but it was what I knew that I was asking for the future. And to me, that's been such a key thing for this, because it's been really about actually choosing and receiving what it is that you want as your future life, not just based on, do I have it right now? What is my current reality? Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And this is what Gary Douglas always said, that allow a lugar to contribute to you as well. And what inspiration can that place be? And it doesn't have to be someone making a choice for you. It's actually you choosing for you. You making the choice for your own life. It's beautiful to see how that gifting and receiving worked out with you.
It's true. It was really a gifting and receiving, and it's still, because we are so excited, we can't really wait to, go there for the first time in our casa. But it's also because, when you do an investment and it's just like taking a commitment with a certain amount of money, you might be stressed about it, right? Because but then it's been and I've been in debt for a big part of my life, 17 years. Now it's a long time, I'm no longer. But I never considered that as a debt. I never considered that as something that will make me struggle. It's been totally the opposite. The joy and how my finances as well changed. As you say, like Gary said, let the lugar contribute to you. And that's what's happened, because I didn't really know if I should have planned, okay, in 2 years, how will I want to pay it? That wasn't exact. I wouldn't even imagine, but that has been like such a joy, and how the money showed up to be able to commit with what I chose with an ease that never actually show up in my life before. And with that saying, it's not that I had lack of money because I had to pay off that. My life increased. I chose greater for me as well. As Diva was mentioning, that's the life, that's the future I desire. There was no choice that actually limited myself on travel greater, buy new clothes, or living a great life. I was actually keep living in a great life every month, but I was still paying off a lugar. That was something that,
I remember, Francesca, this is when you started traveling business class. Because you went, I'll have it all now.
Exactly. Opening my own company, looking at, at my business in a different way. It's been actually a sort of a need that's like sort of a need and tack, as Gary Douglas talked about it, right? You create a need in your life that makes you create greater for you and for the world around you. Yeah.
And you know what's so wonderful as well with what you're saying, like, because it's funny because we finished paying it off, so it's like I'm like, oh, that was easy. But now remembering that time was like, we didn't believe we could do it. We didn't think we could do it. We weren't convinced anything about it. It was just a choice in every moment. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, this is so different, because usually with things that I had chosen before, particularly financially, well, not so much actually, but we very often look to believe, can I do this? Yes or no? Is this possible? Okay, I believe I can do it. I think I can do it, rather than just doing it and just choosing and then seeing what shows up. So the demand that created, I think, for all of us was very different than what I personally had thought the demand to create and generate financially was, because it was gentle. It had a sense of ease and space. There was no force or pushing. It was a demand of yourself of, okay, I'm going to find a way to actually commit to my life and make this work. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too. But I'm going to do everything that I can to not only make this project work, but make my life work so that I can have these kinds of projects in my life. So it wasn't even about the property. It was about my life now. It's time to step up to a different level, so that, and like Francesca said, then it became easier. Like she set up her own company, started flying business class. Same with me. Like we all set up a bunch of stuff. I think that's when I set up my fashion brand too, like shortly after, but it was.
I just wanted to ask you, was it after that you started Pacha Blue?
It may have been, I think it was after. I mean, Pacha Blue was always a concept, but there was something different in my world where it was like, I have to say, it was more like, it's so much bigger than just the project of El Lugar, not to make it like a small thing, but it really was like, okay, am I now committing to my life? And if yes, what are all the elements that I would like there? Well, I would like to be able to start any business that I desire with ease and have it be successful. I would like to know that I can invest whatever the hell I want to invest in when I want to invest in it. I would like to, have more comfort with my body, like flying business class or whatever that is. And I mean, I remember many times, like Francesca and I would be maybe hosting a class in somewhere in the world, and we'd be like, oh, we've got to pay, the next installment, and kind of looking at that and being like, well, do we go out for this €200 dinner, or do we put this money towards El Lugar? And we're like, no, let's go out. This is going to contribute. Let's keep living our life. And so it was really such a gift as well to have you, Francesca, in it, because having someone else that you can have those conversations with, but also recognizing you don't need to stop living to pay the things off that you're paying for.
No,
that's beautiful. So you didn't work hard to pay it off. You kept living.
Yeah, I would say we probably lived more. Yeah, I would say we probably lived more because then it was a conscious choice. We weren't just going with the flow of stuff. We were very conscious of every choice we were making. Am I living? Am I not? Is this money that I'm using for this dinner going to create greater or not? So you suddenly start to become very aware of the choices that you're making financially and how present you're being. And if you are going to that dinner just because everyone else is going and you feel that you should, or are you going because it's actually a contribution to your life?
Right.
Exactly. And also how much I'm so grateful about all this creation, because as you just say, we paid it off. So it's like we are waiting for the opening now.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Let's do it. But it's also like, because after that, the inspiration at Lugar made me choose more as well. I remember was a moment when I also bought a horse, and I never thought I could buy a horse. And having a horse in a different country, having a horse in Costa Rica when I go max 3 times a year, and now with COVID-19, I might go there in October maybe, But then was all these conscious choice on looking, okay, will this contribute to my life? Will this contribute to my future? Even if it's so non-linear and illogical, because how many times, I've been growing up in a family that had my mom very, very logical and linear with money. My dad wasn't. But then, this reality is really the fact that you need to have all the ducks in a row before you can choose something. What if it's not that? What if it's not that you have all the plan done before even choosing? What if it's totally the opposite, that is your choice that will make those ducks in a row show up? Because we were confident on that. That's what we were confident. I'm like, okay, that will be. And I remember there was some days where sometimes we're like, okay, so we have to finish pay, I don't know, was at certain dates. And I didn't really have the finances to support it. But instead of being worried about it, I was confident on that will have show up, because it's really, that was actually the life changing for me, being confident and conscious that something will have show up to make that happen, and that happened.
I know. We started building already, so hopefully in a year from now you will be able to really finally walk in.
And also, like, how the Lugar is being built. What's the purpose of it? The fact that there is such a caring of the land, the nature. Like, it's a place that will be, eco-sustainable beyond anything.
Eco-friendly and sustainable.
Eco-friendly, but beyond whatever we have been seeing in a lot of other resort. That's really eco-friendly. Like, if you watch the latest video where Gary Douglas talked about it, I had tears the first time I heard that. Like, the respect of the land, the respect of not destroying what is already there, but actually building with and for. Yeah, it's such a different concept. It's such a futuristic concept. Yeah. So.
Well, I wonder as well, because I think, we look a lot at in our lives, like everyone, like, buy a house, buy property, do the different things, have a job. We have all these things that we know we would like to have in life. And for me, the investment in El Lugar really showed me that when I'm choosing something that's going to expand my life, I can choose it with ease. And it actually shows up. And I realized that a lot of the other things that I had thought about investing in previous to El Lugar, I hadn't really had the same demand of choice, and it hadn't really contributed back to me when I had attempted to do it, just because that wasn't the most expansive choice in my life. But I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but it's kind of like, rather than just investing in something because you think you should, or because that would be the right thing to do, or based on your age, you should now own a property or whatever, actually doing it from this different space of question and recognizing this is a project we believe in, this is something we know will contribute to thousands of people, not just us, made it be just this whole different universe of choice that was available.
Yeah.
Very beautifully said, Diva. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you for making these choices, because you inspired a whole lot of more people. People were mimicking you. More of those crazy ones showed up and said, okay, I want the 2 MPTs. And we will have some more guests talking about their stories with, around, and about El Lugar. I hope.
Thank you for making this available as well, David. And of course, Gary, Jane, Simone, everyone. But you have been so different. And so you gave us such relaxation as well in the choice we made, and we always felt supported by that.
That's very true.
From you.
That's very true.
This has been a great component as well. You as the legal representative, but you with everyone else behind you, like very, very grateful. Without you, this would not have been possible. Yeah.
That's
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I hope in October, when we will be all able to travel again, we will visit El Lugar. We can walk into the first parts of the houses where we are starting building the foundations in, I think, next month. We just ordered the pylon. The roads are ready. The sewage system is in, so it's happening. We are moving
I cannot
fast.
Scream because otherwise, we are in a podcast, but I wanted to scream.
So thank you so much again for your time and for sharing these beautiful stories.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being that inspiration and contribution to El Lugar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.